My name is Heidi Davis. I'm from beautiful Cape Breton Island. I am a registered nurse and a spiritual life coach. So I have my own business, coaching beautiful human beings to come home to their heart and be grounded in themselves and live a life that's more authentic to their soul. I live in Sydney with my partner, Crystal. And she's also a registered nurse, so it kind of works out well. I remember growing up, I was always like, Cape Breton, like there's nothing there. I'm gonna move away and come back to visit. So I lived in Halifax, started my nursing career there, was with my partner, and then I was briefly married and then divorced. So my whole world shifted, and then Cape Breton started calling me home because I was coming home to be with my family more for love and support. And the more and more that I came back to visit, to heal, the more and more I was like, whoa, I actually want to live home be there again. So that's how I came back home. I work casually as a RN at a long-term care facility, which I love because I love working with the elderly. They just have so much wisdom and so much to say and so much experience and heart, and are sometimes overlooked or forgotten. And so it is important work to me to be at working in the long-term care setting. So I do that casually, and also in my other spare time I do coaching. He got started in coaching because I always felt like there was something more that I was supposed to be doing, kind of similar to nursing, but something different, so nursing is healing and supporting and helping. And so when I stumbled upon coaching, I was going to go on a retreat, and then the person holding the retreat was a life coach, and I was like, oh my God, that's a real thing. I had no idea that life coaching was a thing. And so I did a bunch of research on it, and I was like, whoa, my heart was like, boom, 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 boom. This is what you're supposed to be doing. So then I took a year-long training program to become a life coach. And so I've sort of, I don't want to say integrated that with nursing, but, they sort of go hand in hand a little bit of the healing, guiding, helping. So what inspires me is people who really, they know that there's something I don't want to say necessarily like missing, but they know that they're not like living to their full potential, be it like the beliefs that they have or they hold on themselves, that they're not worthy or not good enough or whatever. So helping people come to a place where they actually believe and embody that they are great, they are light, they are divine and meant to be here, and support them in creating a life that's really kind of worthy of their, for lack of a better word, divinity. So that's what inspires me, is people who want to really step into the journey of healing their hearts and really believing in themselves. I love this question, who would be the target audience, because it's me. It's people who have lived in hiding, almost, who have been running from themselves their whole life, like running in search of something or someone out there who they think they are supposed to be, or that thing that they think will fix them. That's how I've done my whole life, living in shame, because I am gay, and it took me a long time to come to terms with that. So I'm really passionate about working with people who are ready to break free from that shame and not let it run the rest of their life, and really return home to their heart, for lack of a better phrase. Because I kept finding myself in situations where I was like, this isn't me, this isn't what I want to do. And there had always been like a little whisper, right, that was like, maybe this isn't it, or maybe you don't actually want to do this. But I would override that and put myself into situations or whatever that weren't really in alignment with me. So then I'd get to this point where then I'd end up maybe exploding everything because it wasn't right for me, but it would get to a point where, you know, I'd end up like breaking commitments or promises, whereas I could have almost prevented that had I just tuned in and trusted and listened to myself. But I also don't regret anything that has happened, because it wouldn't have brought me here to where I'm talking to you right now. So, I mean, it all worked out perfectly, but I wanted to go forward with motion that was more in alignment with my intuition, with what I know to be true for myself. So that's how I got here. And it's a work in progress. Usually I just ask people, like, what is on your heart? What is in the way of you truly feeling at peace and feeling joy and believing in yourself? And that usually kind of really opens things up. People most often just want to be seen and heard, and we don't always have time or make space for these kinds of conversations where people get to just say whatever's on their heart. And then through that, you just explore and ask questions and have them think or look at their life in a way that they have never looked at it before. And, you know, kind of they create these aha moments for themselves simply by sharing what's on their heart. Oh dear. So my family is wonderful. They've always supported me in everything, and they were supportive. I kind of came out in stages, right, for what was comfortable for me, and the support that was missing for me was from myself. So I had support from other people, but it didn't make as much of an impact as it could have had I been more open and compassionate and forgiving with myself. Coming out in stages. So, you know, I would tell one person, and then maybe 6 months or a year later, tell another person, kind of testing the waters, making sure it was safe. There was no like, I'm coming out party. You know what I mean? Like, it was what felt comfortable for me. It's what I had to do in order to feel safe and secure. And because I think it would have, the idea of blasting it out there and telling, you know, multiple people all at one time was just too threatening to my mental health. So I came out gradually. Yep. Everybody knows. I mean, I don't wear a shirt that says I'm gay and proud or anything like that, but I do not hide it. I did hide it for a long time. I love my life now because I've embraced that part of me, that very small part of me, you know, just the person that I love happens to be a woman. I mean, it's huge in one respect, but it's also very minute because I'm so much more than just that. But embracing that small part of me has made such a humongous difference in my life. And yeah, so everybody does know, and I'm totally cool with it. When I think that I knew that I was gay, I think I was about 11 or 12, and it was around the time that Ellen was coming out. It was all over the news, her show being canceled, and, you know, she was kind of, I don't want to say banned from Hollywood, but, you know, I can't think of that term, but that's when I knew, and I struggled with that. It's like I felt like I was in Las Vegas, like gay was everywhere. And then I did tell my mom in a note that I wrote her that I was afraid that I might be gay. And we had, I don't know how long the conversation was. She was very kind and just curious, but I took that as an opportunity to like go into the closet. So I felt better having like aired what I was worried about, but then I was like, oh no, I'm not. And then just repressed it. So I didn't actually come out until I was 19, I guess, is when I met my first partner. I was 18. And then we didn't come out for a year after that. And I told one friend, and then I told my mom a couple months later. She wasn't surprised. I think, you know, when we talk about like somebody being in the closet, usually it's in reference to being gay or bi, whatever. But I think that we're always in multiple different closets because a lot of the time we're hiding, and um, the idea of, like blasting out of the closet. I mean, some people do that in whatever arena of their life, but it's not always as easy as that. And I believe and know for myself that helps is like small baby steps. Like first you just like peek out a little bit and see what's out there, and kind of safely recruiting people who can join your team of cheerleaders to encourage you and to support you along. And also really taking on really solid self-care measures. Like, and it could, if your self-care is like on the floor, it could be something as small as like setting an alarm to get up in the morning, or whatever it is. So it's taking care of yourself with basic self-care, and then working your way into more things that feed your soul and your spirit and bring joy into your life while you're traversing this journey of acceptance. So it's finding those people, your tribe, and finding people who can mentor you and guide you along, and really kind of help you pull back those layers, because it's you can't always do this stuff on your own. So it's kind of finding. I'm a very spiritual person as well, so I also find solace and comfort and guidance in the universe or higher power, whatever you want to call it. So turning to trusting in that allows you to also trust in yourself, because mostly that's what it comes down to, is trusting yourself and your inner knowing and your intuition. And the more you lean into that voice within it, the more easier it becomes. And once you start doing that, you can't really turn back and shut it off. So it's kind of just an invitation to keep going. And yeah, it's not always easy, but it's kind of the only way to live a fully embodied and joyful life.
Yeah.
And self-care looks like saying no to people, saying no to things you don't want to do. Boundaries are, kind of step one of self-care, is knowing what doesn't for you. I think what matters the most and what makes the most difference for people who are struggling with anything is just being a loving, compassionate presence, and offering and holding space for them to talk without us needing to interject our thoughts, our feelings, our judgments, or our advice, if you will. I think just, you know, asking loving questions, basic questions. How are you doing? Is there anything on your heart you want to share with me? Because, if we actually go in and probe where people don't want to be probed, that just kind of shuts the door. So I think just letting people know that we're there for them, physically and emotionally and mentally, I think is just holds the door open for them to walk through when they're ready. It's safety. People need to feel safe, and so often we don't feel safe, mostly because of the stories that our mind is telling us of, like, we need to be afraid, because that's where we either live in fear or in love, and most often we're scared of things. So if people don't feel safe, they're going to keep doing the same things they've always done, or be stuck in the same patterns or whatever. So if we are able to create space for people to feel that safety and feel that trust, then that's when you're able to do or say things that you didn't think that you once could be able to do or overcome. I just like to say, like, I'm so grateful for the life that I've lived, that I'm living. All our roads are bumpy on this path, on this journey, and it's friggin' scary sometimes. Just to be who you know yourself to be feels scary, because we're so often told how we need to be, how things need to look. And I am just feel so fortunate that I have given myself the opportunity to support and help other people embrace who they've been, where they've been and who they are, and really come home to their heart. I just feel so passionate that, our life is meant, you know, I think we're meant to come back to a place of self love and acceptance. We're born, these perfect little beings, and then all this stuff kind of gets piled onto us, all these beliefs and what have you. And so our journey is kind of reclaiming that beautiful perfection that we are. And so I'm really just passionate that I get to support people on that journey. And 10-year-old Heidi, I would hold her in my arms, pinch her little face, and just say, girl, you are so okay. You are so enough. Please just trust yourself. You don't have to commit to anything right now. You don't have to label yourself as anything. All I would ask of you is just to love yourself, however that looks. And please find safe people that you can talk to and not be alone with things that feel scary to you.